Olá, sejam muito bem-vindos. Hoje nós teremos uma entrevista muito interessante com um dos personagens fascinantes do mundo do vinho. Trata-se de Josè Rallo, que é a CEO da vinícola Donnafugata da Sicília, e ela vai apresentar para a gente os seus projetos do Etna, feitos com a Dolce Gabbana. Os vinhos acabaram de chegar no Brasil, a gente recebeu para experimentá-los en primeiro e compartilhar as informações junto com você, leitor, telespectador e ouvinte da revista ADEGA. A entrevista é feita em inglês, é nosso idioma comum. Espero que vocês apreciem. Obrigado. Welcome. Thank you for your time, Josè Rallo. It's a wonderful opportunity to talk with you. And we have seen you singing before in Athens.
Okay.
Well, it is a great video. People should watch it in YouTube. It was a great video. I was amazed that you actually sing a lot, very well in Portuguese and Brazilian music. And we would like to know a little bit about that as well.
Yes.
But the main reason we are here is to talk about your new wines that just arrived in Brazil, the partnership that you have with Dolce Gabbana. But I would appreciate if you could start telling us a little bit about Donnafugata history, and so we can start from there.
Okay, so Donnafugata is a family winery in Sicily. Sicily is a small island compared to Brazil in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. It has a favorite climate and perfect condition for growing grapes, quality grapes. So my family started in the wine business in 1851. I am the fifth generation, and my children will be the sixth generation working in the wine business. So my father and my mother founded a new wine business in the 80s, and they decided to call it Donnafugata. So they changed a little bit the root and the story of the tradition of the family, because both my mother and my father are very innovative, very creative. And they understood that Sicily was the perfect land to make a new style of wine, much more fruity, much more fresh, wine more modern for a new style of life, a new style of consumption. We are nowadays really eating more and more the Mediterranean food, you know, the pasta, the tomatoes, the fish, the vegetables, and this kind of cuisine, which is the typical Mediterranean cuisine, is perfect with the style of wine that we produce. And so Donnafugata Winery was under a certain point of view, the fruit of the know-how of a family with a 4th generation of experience, but also the desire to make a big innovation in Sicily. My father was in California, and he learned about the cold technology applied to the wine vinification. And this was the first, under brackets, miracle that he did, because the sun is perfect to grow well-ripened, very aromatic grapes, but too high temperature during the fermentation period is a great danger for the quality of the wine. So cooling the grapes, using cold temperature for fermentation, the grapes, it was perfect to produce fresh and aromatic, delicate, and long life products, like the ones that you are receiving in Brazil since many, many years, because it's already 20 years we are exporting to your wonderful country.
Thank you very much. I think that in the 80s, when your father started this new venture, the Sicilian wine scenery was completely different. Now, nowadays, we see Sicilian wines being adopted all over the world as a trend wine with very characteristics and personality. But at that time, it was a little bit different. I had the opportunity and honor to have been in Sicily some many years ago. Eduardo as well. Have you been in there 10 years ago, I think?
Yes, no, 2013. I met José and his brother Antonio. We went to Conte Santelina Estate and Pantelleria. At that time, I think that there was not Victoria Estate
Exactly.
and the Etna Estate, correct? Yeah.
They were launched in 2016.
Yes.
And so, can you tell us a little bit how everything changed from that time to now, so people can understand the whole revolution that happened in Sicily?
Yes, it's very important to focus on some very important choices. The first choice was really to act in the vineyard. So Sicily and the southern countries are very generous. We could produce really big quantities in the vineyard. And this was what my mother, who was really a pioneer of the Sicilian viticulture, understood at first. It was very important to reduce the production per plant, to concentrate into the grapes the character of the terroir, the character of this wonderful Mediterranean climate and Mediterranean terroir. So this was the first choice. Of course, in the moment that you reduce the production per plant, the cost of the grapes are rising. So you must achieve very high quality to pay bigger and rising costs. This is important to understand. The second revolution was made into the winery using the cold technology, as I told you. So we were refrigerating the grapes before pressing. We were refrigerating the most during the fermentation. And this was able to make longer fermentation. So 1 week, 8 days, longer fermentation. That means a longer extraction of aromas. Those beautiful bouquets, those intense wide bouquet that we want to find into the glass of the wine. So this was really very important. And the third revolution was also the storage of these bottles. After the bottling time, we were putting the bottles into controlled temperature wineries, cellars, to keep the wine into the bottles at a steady temperature around 200 degrees centigrade, something like that. And in all this long period since 1980s, we have been also increasing the period the wine stays in the bottle, because we want to bring to the market wines that are already at the very interesting, quite perfect stage. And the refining into the bottle is a very important moment of quality construction. Then I must say that quality for my parents, especially, yes, both my father and my mother, they always say, you don't have a real quality if you are not able to communicate quality. So they were really focusing on communication, personal relationship, with people who were connoisseurs of wine, wine lovers, also journalists and critics. And my mother decided to change the style of the labels. And she really created those artistic labels that you can find on our bottles today, which in our philosophy is part of the quality. The way we communicate to the consumer what is inside the bottle, because the label, the artistic label with the design, with those colors, are really the message of what is really inside of the bottle, the character of the wine and the character of the land from where this wine comes from.
That's great.
Maybe I'm too long. I'm
too
long in the others.
It's It's perfect. Thank you very much for the explanation. One thing that I have in mind is that first moment of Sicilian wines was based on much of the production was destined to the Italian market. Then Sicily started to export wines all over the world, but their first moment was based on international grapes. And now we see a third moment when you come back, you as a region, come back to the origins and put a lot of effort on your autochthonic varieties. Can you tell us a little bit how did it happen in your company as well?
I told you that my mother was really a pioneer of the viticulture in Sicily, and my father was very keen of communication and marketing. So together they understood that speaking in the 80s about Nero d'Avola, about Catarratto, it was really hard. It was quite impossible. And so they decided to start with the international variety to say we can produce very interesting, very important Cabernet Sauvignon or Chardonnay, and you can compare these wines with the best Chardonnay, with the best Cabernet Sauvignon of the world. So it was the idea to have a comparison between the production of Sicily and the production of other region of the world. Was it California or France or maybe Australia with the same grapes? This was the way to say Sicily territory is interesting and can produce high quality wines. After we put the base of our reputation on this kind of wines, we could start going back to our roots and speaking about Nero d'Avola and Catarratto and then Grillo and then Zibibbo and Frappato and Nerello Mascalese. And you know, we have 50, maybe 60 different native grape variety in Sicily. This is really our future. We can give you surprises for the next 20, 30, 40 years producing our native grapes. We have 60 native grapes. And so it was important for Sicily to create the reputation through the Chardonnay, through the Cabernet Sauvignon, and then going back to the roots and producing high quality Nero d'Avola and high quality Catarratto and Grillo and Zibibbo. So this was a strategy which really worked a lot.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Very good explanation. I would like to move a little bit to the Donnafugata Dolce Gabbana wines. How did it came through? If you could tell us a little bit, how does it work? How do you manage with the artistic part of the deal and how they participate in the wine selection, whatever? Can you tell us a little bit how everything gone?
Well, it's a very challenging partnership because they are very serious and they are great pretenders. They want every time on every detail the maximum. So for us, it's really being every day on a master, high level school. I don't know how to explain, but it's always looking up and doing something more and doing something more. So they are very much in love with Sicily. And during the last 10 years, they have been cooperating with other Sicilian brands, excellent brands, because they want to participate and give something for the success of Sicilian brands all over the world. So they want to cooperate, they want to make partnership with excellent Sicilian brands. And with Donnafugata, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they started things like the stylist like very much 1001 notte. Can we buy some 1001 notte for Stefano and Domenico? They have a party. They would like to offer 1001 notte. Okay, so there's some bottles for you. Then it was, we have our martini bar in Milano. We would like to have a selection of your wines in our wine list at the one martini bar. Okay, so 1001 notte, Benrié, Fragore, Tancredi. Okay, then we're organizing a défilé in Via della Spiga. Would you like to be our partner? Would you like to offer the wines to our best customer? So little by little, they were proposing us something more important. And in my mind, I was saying, what are they doing? Why are they doing these things? No? So then they invited us for the best great défilé they organized, for instance, in the Valle dei Templi, under the temple, the Greek temple in Agrigento. And that was really a great opportunity for us. And I said, when they came to ask us for a definite production partnership, I said, okay, so they tested us. In the last 4 or 5 years, they tested our winery, our philosophy, our culture, our ability to do service, to be perfect, to put attention on detail. So they had evaluated all our critical points, and then they decided to ask for a partnership. And so we were very happy because it was, of course, an honor for us. We were also a little bit scared, and they wanted something very new. They wanted a rosé wine, which was unusual, never tasted, never seen. And fortunately, we had recovered one of those old ancient Sicilian grape varieties that nobody is cultivating nowadays, which is called the Nocera. And we made a blend between Nocera and Nerello Mascalese, cultivated on the Etna. And we proposed them this very, very unique rosé wine. And they appreciated a lot. So we started with Rosa, and then we are going on. We now have a collection of 4 wines. They are having great success also in Brazil, but all over the world, because Dolce Gabbana is really a worldwide, gorgeous, famous, well-known brand. And there's also something in the cellars waiting and refining that I cannot tell you what, but there will be a surprise in the next future.
Very, very good. And speaking of it, we have tasted 3 of the wines. I will let Eduardo move from this moment and talk with you about the wines. It's Isolano, Rosa, and Cordilava. Edu, go for it.
Can you explain for us a little bit about the wine making in these 3 wines? Because you explain a little bit about the Rosa, but I would love to hear about the wine making and the process of creation of the other 2 wines, Isolano and Cordilava.
And Cordilava, yes. In order to be exclusive with this production, we decided to focus on Etna. Etna is a very, very small production terroir in Sicily. It's 1% of Sicilian vineyard. Only 1% of Sicilian vineyard. It makes a lot of noise. Etna, Etna, Etna. No, everybody is speaking about Etna, but we're speaking about 1% of our vineyard. But it's really a special place. It's a special place because of the volcanic soil, because of a volcan, active volcan, one of the most, the highest and biggest and most active volcanoes in Europe. Etna is 3 1,300 meters. And it has snow. The snow cover the vineyards. The vineyards are on terrace. So it's really mountain viticulture and also heroic viticulture. Because when we are speaking about altitude, when we are speaking about terrace, we must remember that the job of the workers is mostly manual. So this is very important to say. And Etna, it's like a viticulture, a mountain viticulture, but facing the Mediterranean Sea. So it has a continental climate, but a little bit mild, not so severe as in Northern Europe, because you have the sea. So it's a mountain, but it's also a Mediterranean climate. So it's a little bit milder. But what is different from the rest of Sicily is not only the altitude and not only the climate, but the rain. Because on the Etna, we have a lot of rain. We can have also 2,000 millimeters of rain, while on Pantelleria Island, we have 500 millimeters of rain. So it's really vegetation, everything is totally different. What is special in the production of Etna wines comes from this climate, comes from the soil. The volcanic soil gives a very special minerality to the wines. I think that you find this minerality very, very important notes in Isolano, the white wine from Caricante. These are, in my way of seeing, these wines are very vertical. They have a great acidity, but they are wide. So there's a balance between the freshness, the minerality, the balance in the structure, and the great harmonic notes that we have. And so Isolano is Caricante, which is the typical native grape of some notes that are probably typically Sicilian. I find very much the citrus fruit notes in this bouquet, and maybe grapefruit in Isolano, but if you pay attention, also Cuor di Lava has a citrus fruit aroma. The people of the place think that the Nerello Mascalese, especially in Cuor di Lava, reminds red orange notes. Isolano and Cuor di Lava are of course produced from the best grapes, the best parcels. We also have we make a special effort because we select also the berries. There are nowadays a special machine that can select the berries, discarding berries which are not enough ripen or too ripen. In this way, we can have.
It's the optical selection. Is that you're talking about?
It depends. Yes, optical selection,
right.
And also the diameter.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and so it's very important. We use it for our most important wines, and of course, Isolano and Cuor di Lava are part of this. And then we use, for instance, also barrique, but for Etna wines, we don't use new barrique because they are wines from the mountain. They are wines from the mountain, so they are more delicate. We need a second passage, a third passage barrique, not new barrique. This is very important. And then a long aging, very long aging, more than 1 year in the bottle before going into the market.
Very good. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions, Eduardo, or do we let Arnaldo speak a little bit about that?
Okay, no, only one thing that I was thinking about. I think for Donnafugata, it's the first time that you are vinifying in Etna. Okay, or yes, no?
We started in 2016.
Perfect. And the vineyards that you bought are old, or you just planted the vineyards? Or...
Allora, on Etna, like on Pantelleria, the vineyards usually are not all of the same age.
Okay.
Because when you have a plant that dies, you put a new one.
Okay.
So the vineyard is not homogeneous, but the average age, we can say, can be 70, can be 80 years old. Okay, so it's quite old vines.
Perfect. Yes. And you have a winery there, or you do the vinification in Conta e Centelina?
No. We must do everything there.
Okay.
We have both a cellar, which was pretty ready, and we just had to restore some facilities. And so we're doing everything there. We must also bottle on the end
because of the
DOC,
okay.
DOC law, yes. And what is also important, speaking about Dolce Gabbana, of course, since the first days, they told us, you are good at making wine, you make the wines, okay? And we are doing the dress. So they have created, I think, some very, very incredible labels, reminding Sicily, the best art in Sicily. And if you touch the labels, it's like you touch fabrics. Every part of the label is different. There's something coming out. So it's really, really, really special. And this is really tough job to do with them.
Yes, the box are amazing too. The box.
Yes.
The box.
Yes. I don't know if you have seen the box with the little.
Yes.
No, it's like a handbag for a lady, no?
Yes.
Like if you have been going shopping and you go away with this box.
Yes.
Yes, they are very, very elegant, very exclusive in this design, and so bright. And I think that I was a little bit scary about combining our identity in terms of artistic labels with their identity, but in reality, it's really a marriage. It's a marriage because we share the colors, which are the colors of Sicily. And I always mix and put together the bottles of the Dolce Gabbana collection with our bottles and stay together in a perfect way. So I feel there's really something, a line that puts all together. This is also something that say also the respect of Dolce Gabbana for Donnafugata, because it can be normal that Donnafugata is respecting Dolce Gabbana. No? They are so big, but I must tell you that they are respecting us. They are respecting our identity, our story, everything about us. So the partnership is really interesting also on this point of view.
The ideas of your labels, the Dolce, not Dolce and Gabbana, the Donnafugata labels were done by your mother, Gabriella, yes. No? With Stefano Vitali. The artistic drawing is so unique, and I believe they got some of this part of the style of the Stefano, and also Sicilian colors, because Stefano used it a lot of. I believe it's the soul of its drawings. But I'm curious about this artistic part, artistic gift, where it came from. How is your mother related to art, and how you started being related to music, to everything, and also Brazilian music, as you.
Well, it's I don't know if it's in my blood and also in my mother's blood, the love for art. For me and for my mother, I can tell you, for every form of art. We're really, we have a great passion. And my mother loves colors. She probably started painting her houses with many, many different colors. If you remember Contessa Elena, there's one room is green, the other one is apricot and blue and so many colors. She's really a bright woman. And she believes that art is really the best way to communicate to the heart of people. That's why she started with the logo of Donnafugata, that woman with the hair, tossed in the wind. That was her idea. The name that comes from literature, Donnafugata means escaping woman. And so the name from literature, and then a logo that was telling the meaning of this name. And then in 1994, she decided for the first artistic label. It was La Fuga, our Chardonnay. Probably she thought that a Chardonnay from Sicily must have a different label. So she combined the two elements. And she had met Stefano Vitale for the first time. And she said to Stefano, Stefano, you are in love with Sicily. You are in love with Donnafugata. You know what escaping woman is. It's me, Gabriella Rallo. I'm escaping my life. I was a teacher of English language, and now I'm a viticulturist, and now I am a wine producer. So I'm escaping all the time. I'm going forward. So please, design an escaping woman. Design the face of the escaping woman. And this man that was, I repeat, in love with Sicily, with our colors, with our art, all the ceramics, and everything about Sicilian art, did something special. 1994, the first artistic label was a scandal. It was a scandal. We had customers, wine shop, that were calling the winery to say they were angry. They didn't understand what kind of label we had put on our wine. They did want to send us back the bottles. It was a scandal, terrific scandal. And but we were sure of the message for the consumer, for the people who love art, for the people who wanted to see Sicily on the front of the bottle. And so we said, okay, be patient. Offer those bottles to the consumer, and then we will discuss. And then it was a great success. So my mother and my father, they always been revolutionary. They have always done something that was never done before, and they was the first. So can you imagine my brother and I, how can we feel with such a parents that they have done so many revolution in their lives? Can you imagine? It's a very hard life, I can tell you.
I believe so. And but you you could be the opposite. Maybe you could you could be too conservative, but you are not. And also this project, the wine and music projects that you have in your background.
Exactly. It's my third CD.
Yes, it's so amazing. And as I said, I would like to understand how music came to your life and how Brazilian music came to your life.
Well,
if you could
this was my revolution, right? Mm-hmm. This was my revolution. I met a man who was on the stage, and he played percussion, and he was playing with Brazilian, with his music and with those songs, Jobim, Vinicius. Okay, it was 1987. So I fell in love with this man, and he gave me all his know-how in terms of Brazilian music. I was living in Rome, he was living in Palermo, and every week he was sending me a tape with Brazilian songs. And because I was in love, I was learning by heart all these Brazilian songs. So in 3 months, I had a great, repertoire. I knew all the 100 songs, 100 of Brazilian songs. Okay. So when we decided to marry, I came back to Sicily. I started working with my parents, and we decided to organize a band. And I had to sing. For me, it was something new, because I had the habit to sing in a chorus, but to be a soloist is
Have you
something a little bit
studied
different.
canto?
And to sing in Portuguese, sì, 2 anni cantato. And my father was so angry with me, so angry. He said, "No, you are the part of a wine family business. You cannot sing. You cannot go on the stage." He was a little bit serious man. I said, "Giacomo, you don't have to worry. It's just a pleasure, just for fun. Don't worry. I'm not going to change my life, no." And so we started in this way. After a couple of years, I understood that I had to make another revolution, and that was making the marriage between the music that I loved and the wine that I loved. And I understood that there are some wines that can be perfectly described by a piece of music. For instance, you have drank Isolano, no? Isolano is so vertical, so fresh, so dynamic. And take your glass of Isolano. Have a look at this color. So yellow, so bright, with gold reflections. Wow. Let's feel it on the nose. Let's feel it on you. And now you feel the tambourine. No? Wow, citrus fruit notes and flowers, yellow flowers. See, listen through the music. Se eu deixar de sofrer, como é que vai ser para me acostumar? La 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 la. Se tudo é carnaval, eu não devo chorar, mas eu preciso me encontrar. La 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 la. I don't know, a bossa nova, very, very soft, very long, relaxed. So, and this was the exercise that we started to do. And the public, the people who was listening to the concert with a glass of wine in their hands were so surprised, so happy, so surprised. This is the real word. So I thought it was really a great way to give something more to the experience of wine, to make a multisensorial experience. So wine through the music, 2 languages that can go direct to the heart of the people, of the persons.
Bravo, bravissimo.
Bravissimo.
It's incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And you have a Brazilian song for each wine, or your repertoire goes?
Yes, I do. Oh. I do.
We need to do it.
I can send you some suggestions.
I would love to. So we can do a playlist for your wines. It would be great to do a Spotify playlist. Do you have it already or not?
Exactly.
That's perfect. Yes,
I have it already. Okay.
Good. I would wait for it so we can publish with the article. It's incredible. I don't know if Eduardo or Arnaldo would like to make another point, but For me, it was a pleasure talking with you, a bigger pleasure hearing you and singing our Brazilian songs. It's an honor for us, and we are in love with your wines for a long time. I love Etna since the first time I've been there. It's such a unique place for wine growing. It's an incredible place, and it's impossible to drink your wines and don't think of the volcano and
yes,
everything around, and the lava and the nature, and it's a unique place. I strongly advise people that are hearing us or seeing us or reading us to visit Sicily and Etna. It's incredible. Thank you very much.
So much.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Whatever you want to ask me, you can write me, and okay, I'm here for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
See you next time. I hope to see you in Brazil soon.
Yes, of course.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Poxa, Edu, que conversa legal com a Josè Rallo, né, que tivemos. Eu sempre fui fã do Donnafugata, como eu falei, e confesso que quando chegaram os vinhos Dolce Gabbana, eu falei, mais um vinho de marketing. Mas não foi, porque além da qualidade que ele tem no rótulo, packaging e tudo mais, tem uma super qualidade na taça também, né? E a gente podia discutir um pouquinho sobre os vinhos. Você já foi para lá, então como é que foi? Você encontrou ela lá, não encontrou?
Sim. E ela tem essa energia mesmo que passa no vídeo, na entrevista que a gente conseguiu fazer com ela hoje, que foi um bate-papo bem legal. Ela tem esse amor pela vinícola, pela Sicília, esse entusiasmo sempre de falar dos vinhos, da região dela, e ela passa muito isso quando você está pessoalmente com ela também. Falando dos vinhos em si, eu também, no começo, eu confesso que a gente sempre tem um pé atrás, mas vendo, assim, pensando que a Dolce Gabbana vai colocar o nome dela numa coisa interessante, boa, eu fui provar os vinhos, e o que me surpreendeu mais, Christian, foi assim, a Donnafugata tem um projeto relativamente novo na Sicília, né? Isso é desde 2016 só. E estão fazendo os vinhos desse nível.
No Etna, né? Acho que
no Etna, no Etna.
Exato.
Isso, 2016 no Etna, desculpa. Na Sicília ele já tem desde 1871, já faz bastante tempo. E daí é relativamente novo nessa região. E eu achei os vinhos super consistentes e com bastante tipicidade, tanto o branco, né, que é o isolano, quanto o rosa, que é o rosado, e o cor de lava, que é o tinto. Né? Eu achei bem bacana, com uvas típicas da região do Etna. Né? Se você quiser, a gente pode falar um pouquinho de cada um.
Eu acho que tem que falar. Eu vou mostrar aqui o rótulo do vinho. Esse é o isolano.
A caixa é linda também. O isolano, que é o branco de carricante 100%. Esse que você está mostrando aí no vídeo para o pessoal. Eu fiquei...
A safra é 2019 desse daqui. Etna Bianco DOC.
Isso. Então, os vinhos do Etna Branco geralmente têm um caráter super cítrico e bastante... que a gente associa com mineralidade, mas uns podem falar um caráter salino, que eu prefiro dizer assim, e são vinhos assim super profundos. E quando eu tomei esse vinho, ele passou isso para mim, eu achei de uma muita qualidade, ele tem uma cremosidade também, e a madeira está por trás, mas não agregando sabores, é mais agregando, eu acho que mais textura e meio de boca, e realçando essa profundidade. Ele é um vinho muito persistente. Eu acho que ele está excelente para beber agora, mas eu guardaria também que por 5 anos, eu acho que não tem nenhum problema. Eu acho que ele vai continuar nesse nível e talvez ganhe algumas notas de frutos secos, que tem no final, bem sutis, mas talvez realce essas notas de frutos secos. Eu gostei bastante do vinho.
Eu adorei essa característica do vinho, justamente dele ser, que ela descreveu bem na entrevista, né? Ao mesmo tempo conseguir ser vertical e ter uma amplitude na fruta. E isso é muito, muito interessante nesse vinho. Quantos pontos você deu nele?
A gente deu 93 pontos.
93 pontos. Isso aí. Eu também concordo com a pontuação. Aí depois a gente passa para o rosa, que é justamente o nome rosa, né?
Então esse é um vinho feito com notispera.
Deixa eu ver a safra dele só. 2020 esse daqui.
Né? 2020.
Rosa 2020.
Ele é um vinho que uma pessoa pode pensar assim, nossa, um rosé já 2020, 2022 já tem que beber já. Não, sim, ele está no ponto de beber, eu guardaria no máximo 1 ano ou 2, porque eu acho que ele vai perder todo esse frescor com o tempo, mas ele é um vinho tão bom que talvez quem decidir guardar por algum tempo mais não vai se arrepender, que vai ganhar outras características, né? Muda um pouco a parte de frescor e vai para um lado mais de frutas passadas, mais secas. Mas esse vinho também me surpreendeu porque ele tem a mesma linha do branco, a linha de frescor, um vinho vertical, para mim super gastronômico e, como eu posso dizer, e que alia esse lado frutado com uma certa austeridade para um rosé. Ele tem esse lado festivo, entre aspas, que a gente espera geralmente mais de um rosé do que de outros estilos, mas eu acho que ele é um vinho que tem o seu potencial gastronômico e tem sua seriedade. Eu gostei bastante desse rosé também.
Eu também. Você sabe que eu sou muito crítico com os rosés, e esse é um rosé que eu aprovei. Você dá risada, né?
Eu dou risada porque é divertido, porque eu gosto muito de rosé, e esse
sei.
tá entre os rosés que eu gosto e que eu acho que de um nível superior. Assim,
eu também acho, porque ele não tem aquele negócio de ser simplesinho, gostosinho. Não, é vinho mesmo, né? É um belíssimo vinho. Eu coloco entre alguns dos melhores rosés que eu ia falar esse ano. Esse ano, obviamente, é o melhor rosé que eu já tomei esse ano. Estamos começando, né? Mas entre alguns dos melhores rosés que eu tomei nos últimos 12 meses. Super, super, super vinho. Fora que é lindo, né? O rótulo é
Tem o rótulo.
rótulo é
Não,
um
e geralmente
espetáculo,
na
a cor é um
linha,
espetáculo e ele
mas só
tem...
falando um pouquinho.
Pode falar,
Eu
pode
só
falar.
falo um pouquinho da linha, que às vezes a gente também olha quando a gente vai tomar e provar e avaliar vinho, a gente também vê a consistência da linha. Eu acho que essa linha é bem consistente, se a gente for comparar o branco, em termos tanto de estilo quanto de qualidade, né? E o rótulo e o packaging, a gente nem precisa falar que é incrível. É muito, muito bonito mesmo.
E daí a gente tem o último vinho, que é um tinto, e para mim o melhor ficou para o final, porque, putz, adorei o vinho. É o Cor de Lava 2017, Etna Rosso DOC. Primeiro porque é uma uva que eu adoro, né? E segundo que me transportou para Sicília. Então, é demais. Se você puder falar um pouquinho, eu agradeço.
Sim. É a Nerello Mascalese, né, para quem não sabe, junto com algumas outras uvas, Nerello Capucci, por exemplo, é uma uva bastante cultivada nessa região da Sicília, na região do Etna, onde os solos são predominantemente vulcânicos. E esse vinho, ele tem bastante tipicidade da uva, e é a primeira safra desse vinho, né, do projeto deles no Etna, e já saiu com a parceria deles feita da Dolce Gabbana com a Donnafugata. O que eu gostei bastante desse vinho é que ele tem um lado de fruta, lógico, mas ele é um vinho austero. Ele é um vinho que pode ser bebido hoje, mas ele também pode ser guardado. Eu não gosto muito de fazer paralelos, mas a gente pode fazer um paralelo comparativo. Tem certas pessoas que falam que quando toma Nerello Mascalese, ela remete a alguns Pinot Noirs, ou outros falam que remete a algum Nebbiolo, não pelo lugar, pelo tipo de solo, mas pelo estilo da uva, que é uma uva que tem um tanino, só para quem nunca provou, né, para ter uma referência, ela tem um tanino um pouquinho mais marcante, firme. Geralmente são vinhos mais magros, a gente quer dizer, não tão cheios, bastante profundos, verticais, né, quando bem vinificados, lógico, né, e tem um caráter para mim que às vezes eu consigo identificar, e nesse vinho eu identifiquei bastante, que é o sangue e o caráter de ferro, assim, que é uma coisa de ferro, uma coisa meio sápida, eu costumo identificar nos Nerello Mascalese. E esse teve uma coisa de iodo, que eu só percebi, eu deixei bastante tempo o vinho na taça e foi ficando lá, e foi uma coisa que eu até coloquei na resenha que está no Melhor Vinho, que eu coloquei um caráter intrigante de iodo. E a Josè Rallo também falou que nos 3 vinhos pode encontrar, agora eu não vou lembrar o nome, você me ajuda, Cristian. Eles têm uma laranja vermelha, e que é bem característica. Você falou que você encontrou, né?
Eu também encontrei. No primeiro momento eu falei, será que eu estou sendo sugestionado por ela? Mas depois eu voltei e confirmei isso, junto com as outras características que você já colocou. E, bom, eu dei 94 pontos nesse vinho, e você deu quantos pontos?
Também foi a da
94 também.
Já está
Legal.
no melhor vinho também.
Eu
Gostei
achei
bastante.
Achei demais esse vinho mesmo, assim, mesmo. E acho que tem um potencial, para quem gosta de vinhos evoluídos, eu acho que tem um potencial de... Já está delicioso hoje, mas tem um potencial de evolução bastante interessante. É um vinho para ir para a adega mesmo, né? Para as grandes adegas.
Não, e eu acho que para quem não conhece a cepa e é amante dessas regiões que eu falei, do Piemonte, do próprio Barolo e de algumas regiões da Borgonha, eu acho que não vai se arrepender de provar e vai ter uma boa experiência. Não sei se você concorda.
Eu concordo, eu sinto o Piemonte com uma alegria nesse vinho, né? Então, eu achei fascinante e fabuloso. Eu agradeço muito a Edu.
E só para fazer um parênteses que eu lembrei, que ela disse, né, apesar de eles estarem na região desde 2016 só, eles adquiriram vinhedos antigos. Então, esse Nerello Mascalese vem de vinhedos de 70 anos, mais ou menos, a idade média.
Ela falou
que
que todos os vinhedos, inclusive o do branco também, são muito antigos. Então, às vezes, quando a gente fala, essa é a primeira safra desse vinho, certamente a primeira safra desse vinho está longe de ser a primeira safra desse vinhedo, né? Então, isso explica muito porque ele já saiu desse jeito, né? Já sai maravilhoso.
E lógico, o que eu disse também, como a Donnafugata, é a primeira empreitada dela, esses vinhos eles não tinham esse projeto no Etna e agora eles têm e já começaram com o pé direito, né? Para mim, muito legal.
Muito bom, Edu. Muito obrigado aí pela participação, por voltar para comentar um pouquinho os vinhos com a gente. Eu agradeço quem está ouvindo e assistindo a gente. Se gostar, manda um comentário positivo para a gente. Se tiver alguma coisa para sugerir, sugere também. Obrigado a todos e boa tarde. Tchau, tchau.
Obrigado, até mais.
Valeu, Edu.